welcome back to Thorns Books, and today we're going to be doing an exciting review on A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. Great, so this just recently came out last week on May 5th. I pre-ordered, I was super excited for it. Sarah J. Maas is literally like one of my favorite authors right now because all of her books lately have been so amazing. The Thorns Glass series is one of my favorite series at the moment, and I just had to pick up her new book, A Court of Thorns and Roses. Now, if you don't know what this book is about, I will do a very small synopsis, then I'm going to get into my review because I have a lot of feelings on this book and I cannot wait for the second and third book. Alright, so, A Court of Thorns and Roses. This book has to do with a fairyland. I have read very little fairy books, but the ones I have read were probably not done correctly, and I was really excited about this book because I knew Sarah J. Maas would do this type of world in a very correct way. This book is about a girl named Farah. She is pretty much poor in this type of human and fairy world. Their fairy world is separated between the human and fairies at the moment, and so Farah, she is pretty much like taking care of her entire family. Her dad is like kind of crippled and he doesn't do work, and she has two sisters who don't really help her out, and she has to like hunt and all this other stuff. But Farah is actually out hunting one day and she kills a deer for her family, but she also kills a wolf that's actually out there, and she ends up that this wolf is actually a fairy, and this fairy, like, it's against the rules to kill fairies, and so it's either like take her life or she gets taken away to this fairy kingdom where she is pretty much supposed to be like there forever instead of staying where she's supposed to stay. And so it's pretty much her story in the kingdom, and yeah, it's really good. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I absolutely loved this book. It was so good. Like, the book itself could have totally ended at this book if it really wanted to, but I'm super excited that there's 2 more books, at least 2 more, because she has book 2 and 3 already on her Goodreads, and so I'm just super excited for the rest of this series. I think it's so fantastic, and the writing is absolutely beautiful. Like, first chapter, I was like, holy crap, this writing is amazing. Like, Sarah J. Maas is already an amazing author and writer, but this book like kicked it in the nuts, and just the writing right away just struck me as this beautiful type of writing, and I was super obsessed with it. Like, I love it so much. If you haven't read any, like literally any of Sarah J. Maas's books, I would recommend at least picking this one up. Mostly, I mean, the Thorns Glass series is like so amazing. If you always like want to start out reading her books and you want to invest in like a 6-book series, then I would suggest picking this one up because this was also very amazing, and it's also a lot more like sexy. Like, there's a lot of like sex scenes in it, and it was really good. Like, I loved it to pieces. And so that is pretty much the non-spoily version of this book review. If you like, please give this video a thumbs up and let me know if you've read this book and if you really enjoyed it as well, or if you're looking forward to reading it, and if you want to pick it up, I will leave a link in the description to pick this book up if you really want to. Let's get into the spoily aspect. If you haven't read this book, I would suggest leaving right now because I will talk about this book in depth at this moment. So bye. Alright, so let's talk about A Court of Thorns and Roses. I absolutely loved Farah. I thought she was an amazing main character. She was kick-ass for the most part, and she was like really like against this entire situation that she was in, and like she was always there for her family, and she just looked out for them the entire way. Like, even her entire time with like Tamlin. There was an entire list on how to pronounce the names of this book, but I completely forgot about it and I didn't look at it when I was reading the book. So I will also leave that in the description below if you like want to see like an entire list of like all of the names in this book, because Sarah J. Maas like writes like really interesting characters with like really interesting names, and sometimes you can't pronounce them. So I think Farah in her like entire time in like Tamlin's manor, she was very like kick-ass, and she was pretty much all against it, and she was like looking out for her family like the entire time. She was there except near like the end, you know. Her entire being like really interested me because I thought she was very, very strong. She seemed like a very strong individual, and even throughout like the entire book she's very strong, especially at the end when she's doing like all these different tasks to like win Tamlin back. Like, she was just such a strong character, and I really, really like that with like female characters. I like them to be super strong and like be out there to like kick ass, and like I was not disappointed with her at all. Like, I absolutely adored her character, and I think Sarah J. Maas like wrote her character really well, and I think it worked really well throughout the entire book on like her actual being herself. Let's talk about the actual fairies we have to deal with. Tamlin, I thought he was like interesting, spot on. Like I pretty much knew that they were gonna like get together and fall in love, because like obviously this is like a fantasy slash romance book. Like most of like Sarah J. Maas's book have a little bit of a love interest in it, and like I was either gonna be with like Lucian or with Tamlin, and like it was obvious I was going to be like the main person that took her into this place. But like that twist that he knew all along, like what she was supposed to do for him, that like blew me away. Like I didn't see that coming. I should have, because there's always like a twist in Sarah J. Maas's book. And like I should have known that there was going to be something that we didn't know going to happen, but I wasn't really thinking about it too much. Like I thought that like maybe he would just be like taken away and like she would have to like fight for him, obviously, but I didn't think that like there was a way that she could have saved him before she left. Like that was shocking to me. Like she could have totally told him that she loved him and it would have all been over, but no, there would be no book, obviously. There had to be a big fighting aspect in it. I knew there was gonna have to be some type of fighting aspect. And when he sent her away, like I knew there was gonna be something happening like when she was away, because that's how books work for the most part. But like the entire like fighting aspect that happened through like trying to get him back, like it was really interesting. It reminded me of the Throne of Glass series whenever like they're doing like those big fighting scenes and like they're having to fight for the assassin title. And it kind of reminded me of that, because there's all these different tests you had to do, and like some were logic and some were fighting and some were like ways to like win your heart. And that was like a really great thing to do for like a fighting scene, because like you don't want to just have like 3 fighting scenes, because that's just kind of silly. Like you want to have 3 different type of themes to like actually portray into the actual objective itself. And so the last objective that she had to do, I thought it was very like interesting. Like she had to think a lot of like what would happen if she stabbed him in the heart, and obviously he lived because he has a stone cold heart and it's obviously covered. But yeah, I loved like all of the characters in this book. I thought they were absolutely lovely and they were all written really well. Even like these side characters were written really well, and I just really enjoyed it so much. And like I said, I cannot wait for the second book. Like I need it in my hands right now. I wish I was like a super interesting booktuber that got like arcs all the time and I could get an arc of this book when it comes out, because I need it already and I will need it ahead of time. And so I gave this, like I said, I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars. Let me know in the comment section below what you thought of this book and if you really enjoyed it as well. Have you read the Throne of Glass series as well? Because if you haven't and you read this book, I would suggest picking that up next, because then you have 4 books to get obsessed with, and then a 5th one that's coming out in September. So yeah, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and it lets me know if you like the content I create. And I make videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, so you can see my beautiful face those 3 days throughout the week. If you'd like, you may subscribe to my channel. That's everything I have for this video. If you'd like, you can check out my Goodreads and see what kind of books I've been reading lately. So yes, thanks for watching. Bye!